Everyone, weather forecast for the rest of today is maximum 25 degree. Brisbane area is partly cloudy with 0% chances of rain. Light winds becoming northeasterly 15 to 20 km per hour in the early afternoon, then becoming light in the evening. Fire danger is high. Sun protection is recommended till 3 p.m. and UV index is predicted to reach 9, that is very high. Till tomorrow, stay safe and have a good day.
And that UV index is high, even though it might not seem like that. And never underestimate Queensland's sun. It can be rather harsh, even though it might look very, very inviting. Well, right now, let's take a very quick look at the breaking news or the headlines for today before we go into all the news. And welcome once again to Chantech's multimedia presentation brought to you by Brisbane Indian Times and Australian Indian Radio.
Coronavirus, the focus is now turning to the country's economic recovery. Victoria is on track to take a major step out of restrictions next month, and the confidence seems to be contagious. Western Australia is relaxing its quarantine rules for interstate travellers, while the Prime Minister is pushing for a change to international quarantine arrangements. The government will also today unveil a plan to deal with a shortage of farm workers caused by the closed borders. The Prime Minister has flagged expanding the seasonal and Pacific worker schemes and introducing incentives for young unemployed people to move into farming work. A new report from consultancy firm EY that reveals growers will need an extra 26,000 workers over the next 6 months. An industrial campaign at Sydney's Port Botany, described by the Prime Minister as extortion, is headed to the Fair Work Commission. The Maritime Union is taking industrial action in pursuit of a pay rise for wharf workers. The dispute has left cargo ships stranded off Sydney, while others have been diverted to Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. The showdown is looming in the United States as the presidential candidates prepare for the first debate of the campaign. Donald Trump will face off against the Democratic hopeful Joe Biden. The debate will focus on 6 topics, including coronavirus, the economy, race relations and the Supreme Court. The debate begins at 11 o'clock Eastern Australian time.
And there we are, up to date on Australian Indian Radio and Brisbane Indian Times daily Facebook Live update. Well, right now, once again, welcome to the show, and I'd like to also thank everyone for the comments. Sometimes we have some technical hitches. This is always going live. It is not a pre-recorded show, so, and I'd like to thank you for your comments so that, we are on track. Well, right now, let's hear from our Premier as he mentions about Queensland and Queensland jobs.
Got one job, and that is to ensure that Queensland has jobs, and that we are working every day to get people back into employment. Our economy is able to function in Queensland because of our strong health response. And it's only through my government that we have a clear plan, a strong plan that looks towards our future, towards our economic recovery. Well, today, as part of our economic recovery plan that we're launching for the Mackay-Whitsunday region, I'm pleased to announce that my government has given the final approvals for the $1 billion Olive Downs mine.
500 construction jobs and 1,000 operational jobs for a mine that will deliver $8 billion in economic benefit to the Mackay and the northern part of our state in economic benefit, and $10 billion in economic benefit to Queensland overall.
What we have here today is an announcement of a pipeline of jobs for the community of Mackay and our surrounding communities, and also for the Bowen Basin. We know that our families and our region are going to have jobs now for generations.
I also wanted to mention that my government is also allocating $10 million to Harrop Park.
We are a town that is very proud of our sporting prowess, and we're also a town that loves to go out to events. We will have this great arena that we can fit 25,000 people into. So there's something here for everyone. So this is great for Mackay jobs, great for our whole region.
So it is great for that region, and of course, when we look at the mining sector for Queensland, it has always been the backbone of the economy here. And when we look at mining, there's so much controversy that happens around mining as well. As I've mentioned before, that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It's only transformed. So it goes from one form to another. All the buildings, all the high-rises that we're sitting in, they have been, some part of that has come out of the ground. It has been mined, the steel, the aluminium, and all these things have come out of there. The cars that we drive, the steel that's around that as well. So, of course, there is all different kinds of produce that's had been mined. But mining does provide a lot of work, but unfortunately there are, with anything, there is always side effects. There are things that will happen which is not coming towards everyone. But there is always the debate, especially from the greenies, about stopping the mining, leaving things as they are. So, what is safe, what is not safe, and so that is a debate for another day. The debate that I'm talking about today is the one that's about to take place in America. So let's get a, there's so much hype about this debate, so much that's been happening. And of course, there was a news that President Donald Trump has asked for Biden's ears to be tested, that he has not got any kind of implant in there where people are putting things in his ear. So, as you know, he's always been known as a bit of a sleepy Biden as well, because of his age as well. So there's so much hype that's going on. It's like a big grand final. So here's the hype up that's building up, when he was asked about the earplugs.
Debate call with press. What can you report?
Yeah, Chuck. Well, as one Biden ally just said to me, Joe Biden has been waiting for this fight for 5 years. They're confident that he's going to be a game-time player, as the Biden team often puts it. And the two things are clear based on my conversations with the Biden campaign over the last few days and from the call that they just did with reporters now. One is that the overarching issue, the number one issue that he expects to focus on tonight is, in fact, the coronavirus, the president's handling of the pandemic. I know there's been a lot of focus about what potential guests might be in the audience tonight. The Biden team saying one of their invited guests is Kristen Urquizo. You may remember her from the Democratic convention. She lost her father to the coronavirus, and she said his only pre-existing condition was that he trusted Donald Trump. And then in terms of the strategy, it's been very clear for a number of weeks, Chuck, that the Biden team is very focused on winning back those Obama-Trump voters. They probably would call them the Obama-Biden-Trump voters because Biden played such a big role in those campaigns in 2008 and 2012. And speaking to those, that's part of that train tour we're seeing tomorrow. And that Scranton versus Wall Street framing, Chuck, is going to be a big part of what we hear from him tonight. And in fact, conveniently timed to the Biden campaign just announced the former vice president is releasing today his 2019 tax return. He has already released 21 years as of last year. They're choosing today to make that most recent revelation of his most recent tax filing, along with Kamala Harris's, her tax filings as well. They really want to destroy the myth that has been, in voters for a number of years, that Donald Trump is a successful businessman who can help the working class. And that's really a large part of the way their strategy has been shaping up and will be tonight, Chuck.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've...
So that's the hype that's been building up there. And here's a report about the brewery. And, as Trump team asked Biden to get his ears checked.
For the coronavirus pandemic, there's been really strict restrictions put on Democratic parties, and so most of them are being held online. So we've come out here to Strongsville, just outside of Cleveland, where they're claiming they're hosting the biggest viewing party in the state, well away from the official stage where those numbers are restricted. As you said, there's been some pretty interesting developments in the hours leading up to the debate. Donald Trump's on his way, and his team says that they requested Joe Biden put his ears up for inspection, that they let them have a look and see if there's any devices in there that would help him during the debate. Now, this is all playing into the narrative that they've been pushing, that he's going to struggle for 90 minutes being on his feet under those kind of conditions because of his age, and he's persistently called him Sleepy Joe. Now, Joe Biden's campaign has said that it isn't true that they ever agreed to that kind of inspection, and they're certainly not agreeing to it now. Joe Biden's camp has said that they're concerned Donald Trump is really going to go after Joe Biden personally and going to be attacking him, particularly on his son Hunter Biden getting job offers that they say he wouldn't have got otherwise. But it's definitely going to be a fiery debate. We were out on the ground here in Cleveland, Ohio, asking voters whether they were planning to watch, and resoundingly, people were keen to tune in.
I think there's a lot more important issues in this world to be worried about. Two old yahoos who both have no business being president of this country going at each other, and I just think it's going to be entertaining television.
No, I'm not watching that.
Why are you tuning in?
Because I'm interested in some of our president's response to his tax situation.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna
He will.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Why are you watching?
I want to see what's going on in the world.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Yeah?
I'm gonna switch back and forth to Indians and that.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Now, of course, the big question is, anyone watching, will they change their mind depending on what comes out of it? We've seen in past debates that it can really solidify how people perceive a candidate. And so we were asking people about what they thought about their vote, if they were already determined to vote for a particular person or party. And there are still plenty of undecided voters out there.
I'll definitely vote this year. I always vote. I feel like, if you can't, you have the right to vote. If you don't vote, you kind of give up your right to bitch about things.
Definitely voting this year?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a vote Biden. Ain't that his name? Yeah, Biden.
What's the issue?
Yeah, the number one issue.
Oh, shoot, leadership. Leadership.
Anything that could come out today that you think might change your mind?
No, nothing.
Well, I ain't voting for Trump, that's for sure. I guess I'll vote for Biden. He's okay, but he's old. I mean, put it this way, both of our people is not really that great,
And Annalise, there's already been some significant changes to the debate schedule because of COVID, so how will the debate run?
Pete, this is going to be unlike any other debate we've seen before. The candidates can't shake hands on stage, even if they might not have. They also have to stay at a distance. There's going to be a very small crowd in the room actually watching the debate. Everyone going in there has to have recently passed a COVID-19 test and be registered on that basis, so it's very strict going in and out. There are going to be 6 segments, each of the topics picked by moderator Chris Wallace from Fox News. He's been appointed by the Independent Presidential Debate Commission, which is a thing that exists here in the United States. And the 6 topics he's picked are the Trump and Biden records, the Supreme Court, COVID-19, the economy, race and violence in cities, and the integrity of the election. Each of those topics has been given a dedicated 15 minutes. There's no opening statements. It's really down to these 2 men on the stage making their case. It's also up to them to fact-check each other. It's not Chris Wallace's job in this particular instance. His job is to moderate and keep them running to schedule to get through those 6 topics, because there'll be plenty to unpack.
Okay.
It's time now for Real Estate Update. With Wusha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty, real estate is our world.
Now we're standing here face to face, afraid to move or else.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome to the studio Usha Chandra from GlobeNet Realty. Welcome to the show, Usha.
Good morning, Umesh, and good morning to all our viewers.
It's wonderful to have you here once again. So what's happening in the real estate market out there? Let's first begin with the report on sales. So how's the sales doing?
The sales market is pretty good at the moment. The Sydney market has improved a bit. The Melbourne market is still a bit down. Brisbane market is extremely busy, and the sales have improved, and there's more sales happening in the Brisbane market.
So, the market has improved, as you said, about sales. And lately we've had some news about some lending criteria that has been relaxed and some reforms around that area. So what's going to happen with the buyers? I hear there'll be a lot more buyers coming out of the woodwork.
Yes, definitely. The last week's open houses, we saw multiple buyers attending open houses. So there's a lot of buyers in the marketplace, and they're looking to buy their first home. Most of them are looking to buy their first home.
And that is excellent news with the first home incentive there as well kicking in, and a bit of a government incentive to see that surge in the market. Well, right now, after the sales, of course, we all know that real estate is all about listings, about listing rich. So what's happening in the listing area, and are there any incentives that you might have?
Yes, the listings are still a bit quiet. We are doing a promotion, giving $5,000 cash each property listed between September to end of November, and the promotion is still going on, and the promotion is getting a few more listings to us.
Okay, so when we talk about the listings being not as matching the buyers at the moment, so you got more buyers on the market than the listings. So why would that be? Are people a bit reluctant, or are they testing the market, as they say, or are they a little bit cautious at this point in time?
Still, a lot of owners are cautious in selling the property at the moment. They are preparing their properties, but there is not many properties for them to upgrade. So the listings are very shortage in supply, and that's why we are doing the promotion to get more listings, and we are making a lot of sellers aware that the market is on the move.
Market is on the move. Well, right now, let's talk at the real estate tips for this week. So what topic are we going to talk about? What are the real estate tips, expert advice on real estate this week?
The expert advice will be the return on investments. There's a few tips where we can give to the owners to improve to get the maximum price for their property. Like the first appearance is very important. When people enter your property, the house needs to be presented very well cleaned, the roof needs to be cleaned, the gardens are maintained, and external house wash is very important. The next one is cutting all the trees, trimming all the trees, and making it more safer for the storm weather, which is appearing soon. Yeah.
So it is about appearance, as they say that you never get a second chance of the first opinion or the first appearance. So apart from the general aesthetic cleaning and making it appealing, of course that does matter, and having the trees and etc. cut around the houses. What else could people do?
People can just paint their property, change the floor coverings, upgrade the kitchen. There's a lot of companies which are doing upgrading of kitchens, like kitchen cupboards, the bench tops, replace the air conditioners, stoves and other things like any electrical appliance or light fittings or ceiling fans that will improve the value of the property.
So in terms of when we look at improvements of the value of the property, and in the beginning segment you talked about the return on investment. So return on investment, if people have got their houses on the market, and if they spend money on say painting, new carpets, etc., do they get those returns in the property, or people are just looking to buy and then they want to do what they want to do?
Now, definitely the return on investment is there. Once the people spend a little bit of money, they get $20,000-$30,000 more than what they were expecting before. So definitely I would urge the owners to do a bit of renovation, clean, tidy, and get the maximum value on their property.
So your expert advice is that yes, go ahead and present it properly, paint it, and do whatever little needs to be done. That will in fact get you the value. So your return on that investment will be there. As we know, people like get many times some people cannot look beyond the property. So if it's presented well, nicely, then they will it will be more appealing to them. Well, having said that, looking at all the properties, so what's the property of the week this week?
The property of the week is a new listing which has been on the market with another agent for 90 days. We have listed that property and it's very well priced now. It's on the market for $729. It's on 788 square meter block right in the heart of Boondall, with 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, multiple living areas, room for pool. So with electric gate, double lock-up garage, it's exceptional property.
Sounds like a very good property. Let's take a very quick look at this property. Well, that looks very good. Well, right now, so that people can plan the weekend, what's happening on the weekend? What are the open houses?
We have got a few open houses. The one we have got, first one is in Callumvale. It's the price has been reduced. It's $549. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, double lock-up garage, open between 9:15 to 9:45. The second one is open at 11 o'clock, number 1 Songbed Way, which has been reduced as well for urgent sale. That's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, in-ground pool, double lock-up garage. The next one is at 12 o'clock. That's the one which I was saying, the property of the week. It's open at 12 o'clock, 12 to 12:30, and that one is at 49A Rogan Road, and that's the exceptional buy. It's ideal for a large family. The next one is at 12 o'clock at 26 North Home Crescent, which has been reduced from 519 to 5 offers over 500, and that's purely for investors. It's got tenants till April 2021, paying $430 per week, and we have got multiple open houses in rentals as well. Our rental market has improved, and we are getting quite a few properties on the market in the rental market.
I'm glad you touched on the rental market there as well, as we know that many people are looking for rental properties. So rental demand is still high.
Extremely high. We have got few properties which we are getting multiple applications. So if anybody is looking for a new agency or for rental management, please contact Vicky on 3865 4466, and she will guide you in the right way.
And Vicky does an amazing job there. So Usha Chandra from GlobeNet Realty, thank you so much for being on the show with us, and wishing you all the best with all the open houses, and it's wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you, Umesh. Okay.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 5228 1 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world, and those are the open houses for this weekend. And for rentals, please contact Vicky Lilwell. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on with the show, it's time now to go to the news in brief. And first of all, is Prime Minister when he is talking about home quarantines and the possibility of that, and how will that turn out?
Now, I think home quarantine can play a role in the future, and it's something that is being considered by the AHPPC. And particularly as we sort of move beyond the phase we're in now, and we do look to see, to have others, our borders open up at some point to safe locations, whether it be New Zealand or parts of the Pacific or places like South Korea or Japan or countries that have had, I think, a much high-rated success. Then there are opportunities to look at those alternative methods of triaging, if you like.
So that's a option that can probably work. But right now, the next news is our Treasurer as he pleads to Premier Daniel Andrews. So, of course, I'm not saying that, but sometimes party politics also does play a role.
I've read letters from well-regarded doctors and GPs, open letters to the Premier of Victoria, and they speak of the mental health state of young people in Victoria as a result of the lockdown, and the number of cases that they are seeing through their doors skyrocketing, providing antidepressants to kids as young as 12 and 13 as a result of this lockdown. So I say to the Premier, follow the medical advice, but please get Victorian children back to school at all levels.
So that's a message from our Federal Treasurer to the Premier of Victoria. But Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews says he's not one for quitting.
Do you expect ministers to take responsibility for what goes on in their departments?
Yes.
What about yourself? Are you not prepared to resign?
I indicated the other day I don't run from challenges, I don't run from problems. I'm not someone who quits to avoid doing the hard work that needs to be done.
So why
I've got a job, well, if you've asked me, I would have thought rather serious question, and if I might be allowed to answer the question, I'll then answer your next one. I don't run from problems. I've got a big job to do, and I'm dedicated to getting it done. And that's not just getting these numbers down, but it's also delivering the most significant package of economic reform, investment and recovery that this state has ever seen. I can barely describe to you how committed I am to that task.
So committed he is to that task, but he did refuse to answer or comment on the ongoing hotel quarantine, saying that an inquiry is under place and it's not appropriate for him to comment while that's happening.
The submission process is not over. Council Assisting have made their important submissions to Madam Chair, but others have an opportunity, not orally but in writing, to make further submissions. I think that expires next week. So that whole submission process, very important, but it is a far from complete process, nor is the Board of Inquiry process complete, given that the very report that former Judge Coate has been commissioned to write, she has not yet written. So again, I'll wait till early November and then we'll get a report, and the contents of that can be the subject of what I think will be a lengthy discussion and important action by me at the appropriate time.
Credit needs to be given where it's due, and under all the circumstances, I think he is, fared quite well, and coming up every morning and trying to get that advice from all the health department, facing up the media as well, making all those tough decisions there as well. Well, Western Australia Premier announces to ease restrictions on people from Victoria and from New South Wales.
Based on the declining case numbers in Victoria, the Chief Health Officer has recommended some changes to arrangements for Victorians entering Western Australia, providing the case numbers continue to trend downwards. From Monday, October 5, people who have travelled from Victoria will no longer need to quarantine in a hotel facility as long as they have an appropriate premise to quarantine in safely. These people will be able to self-quarantine for 14 days at a suitable premise. Like everyone coming into Western Australia, we strongly encourage and ask these people to download and use the new G2G Now app. The incentive to download...
And we will be talking about that app as well. Commissioner Dawson says that app will conduct virtual checkups. So let's hear from Commissioner Dawson as he talks about the app that Western Australia Premier was talking about.
The G2G Now app is designed to support quarantine compliance by enabling police to perform virtual quarantine checks. Since the start of this state of emergency, Western Australian Police have physically visited approximately 50,000 people who are self-quarantining in their own homes or at suitable premises. This app will use mobile location data and facial recognition technology to pinpoint exactly where the person is in real time. It is highly secure, and following the remarks I will make, and after question time, there'll be a demonstration of this particular app. These virtual checkups will complement our existing system in which WA Police and also Department of Health make contact with people, and it'll obviate the need for many physical door checks. But I should stress, police will still be checking on people and it won't all be done virtually. But as more people take up this G2G Now app, more police resources will, of course, be...
So the app will, provide virtual information. It will have like a tracking device where people would be, their whereabouts will be known. And it is been developed by the locally G2G Now app, which is going to save a lot of work and a lot of heartache in as well. But I mean, one of the news that we were talking about earlier on in the piece was about the mining and the breaking iron ore revenue is putting floor in the budget. So Australia's economy boomed out of the last economic calamity. It's largely thanks to Australia's stimulus and subsequent demand for resources. Let's take a look at that report.
Australia's economy boomed out of the last economic calamity, the GFC, largely thanks to China's stimulus and subsequent demand for our resources. No doubt it would be handy for that to happen again. So far, it's looking good. Strong demand from China has helped drive iron ore prices higher, and Australia's miners have been shipping record volumes. But will the boom last? Steph Chalmers reports.
There's no digging the budget out of its COVID black hole, but Australia's iron ore miners did their best.
Most of the news on the economy and for the budget has been bad news, but the better than expected iron ore prices do represent a little bit of good news for the economy and for the budget.
The pandemic has created a series of unfortunate events that have been good for the fortunes of Australia's largest export. As Australia and other countries entered recession, China started to claw its way out.
We've seen China come out of COVID-19 implementing significant stimulus, particularly infrastructure, which accounts for about 20 to 25% of final steel consumption.
At the same time, Australia's closest rival when it comes to iron ore production, Brazil, has faced major disruptions.
Part of that is COVID-19 related, bad weather, but some of the issues lingering from last year when we saw a fatal dam collapse have also been a driver.
All that's converged to push iron ore prices up nearly 30% since the start of the year, peaking a few weeks ago around $130 a tonne. The high price, along with increased export volumes, saw iron ore become the first commodity to earn Australia more than $100 billion in a single year. The recent company reporting season saw many sectors battered by the downturn and propped up by government subsidies. But iron ore miner Fortescue posted a record profit, and the commodity also helped cushion profit falls at BHP and Rio Tinto, as the miners stepped in to fill the supply hole left by Brazil.
If iron ore prices were to remain at this elevated level, you could expect to see a boost to government tax receipts of anywhere between $5 billion to $15 billion in 2021.
But that will make little headway on the budget blowout. Deloitte is forecasting a deficit of just below $200 billion for the current financial year. The government isn't banking on a continued iron ore boom either.
So that is good news, that it is now going to inject so much money into the economy. And as we know that, Greenies might think otherwise, but of course, the natural resources are there and they've been used for years. Of course, as I mentioned, the very old physics rule that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. So it's only transformed from one form to the other. Well, right now, let's take a very quick look at about federal government and what we can expect in the coming budget. Let's take a very, very quick look at that report.
A week today, the government will hand down the budget. We know already the deficit will be in excess of $200 billion. There have been quite a few announcements already. Today's JobMaker digital plan, which accelerates previously committed funds towards NBN and cybersecurity, a cash boost for pensioners. And bringing forward income tax cuts is a real possibility. And of course, there will be infrastructure spending. But what kind? Professor Warwick McKibbin joined me. Warwick McKibbin, first of all, the Treasurer said on Friday that the deficit is expected to be about 4.3% of GDP instead of 0.3% forecast pre-COVID. Now, given that we're meant to be in this huge recession/depression, that doesn't actually sound too bad. So does that give the government runway to spend big in this upcoming budget?
Well, I think they do. They have the ability to spend. Australia's debt is reasonably low by world standards, and real interest rates are negative, and nominal interest rates are close to zero. So if there was an argument for running persistent budget deficits to sustain income in the economy, now is the time to make that argument. So I think that's quite conservative. A lot can happen, obviously, to these forecasts. One of the problems I have with the budget process being a point forecast is there's so many different scenarios. I think there should be a range of estimates given to let people better understand, what's happening out there.
The key thing that started this week was the tapering of the JobKeeper payments. Now, given you and so many others don't think that the deficit is that big of a deal, is this something that shouldn't be happening?
I think right now is not the time to be cutting back on fiscal spending. The people that are getting JobKeeper and the people that are getting JobSeeker, they spend most of their income. So if you want to sustain spending in the economy coming from the private sector, I think keeping those income flowing is a very important part of keeping the economy afloat. And so I think now is not the time. There has to be a plan for when this all has to be pulled back. But I think over the next 6 months is probably not the right time to do it. I would have waited until around March, April next year.
Is there an argument, though, for it to be better targeted? I mean, we've all heard stories of people just not bothering to go to work because of it, or, businesses just being kept alive that are otherwise defunct. Is that particularly helpful to the economy?
Well, again...
So, we left that report there as we know that the budget is about to be presented, and we will get to find out all about that as we get to... Now, the news that we've been all talking about, would a cheap, fast COVID test boost testing rates? Well, let's take a look at that news. As we know that even if the vaccine is a little bit far away, but if the testing could be done, and if the testing could be done quite effectively and quickly, then we can solve a lot of problems. We can save a lot of problems. A lot of industries and things can begin. Even the travel around overseas can start happening as long as people are able to be tested. As we know, the one that they're talking about is a 60 turnaround. Well, let's take a look at that report.
Compared with other countries, Australia's response to the coronavirus has been a success story. One of the main reasons is our testing capacity. In January, laboratories around the country had to scale up massively. And tonight, 7:30 takes you inside one of them to see how it's done.
We're here at Central Specimen Reception, and this is the first stage of testing. Couriers are arriving all day, every hour, depending on where they come from. On average, we have about 3,000 coronavirus tests a day that we process here at Randwick in our lab. My name's Anna Candilius. I'm the Senior Hospital Scientist in the Area Virology Laboratory here at New South Wales Health Pathology, Randwick.
This lab in Randwick was one of the first in Australia to develop a test for the COVID-19 virus.
COVID has changed a lot. We've had to increase our staff, increase our instrumentation. Everything's just ramped up into overdrive.
Each swab the lab receives is suspended in a solution, and it's that solution which is tested.
In New South Wales Health Pathology, there's very much attempt to have everybody's specimens done as soon as possible, and that's usually within 24 hours. We are working 7 days a week. The machines are running 24 hours a day. Prioritisation sometimes is necessary for example, people going to surgery, for a potential school infection, or for an individual doctor or midwife or nurse, and they can go onto a rapid test platform. That usually takes around an hour in the laboratories. Why don't we do everything like that? Well, that takes much more.
Amazing things can be done in a lab, when the efforts are put towards the right thing. Well, right now, let's go to world news before we close up for today. Well, the first one is about Belarus, and as we have been following that news there, the disruptions and all the protests are still going on, and Belarus opposition leader speaks after meeting French President Emmanuel Macron. Here's that report.
It was wonderful meeting. He's a wonderful person, and I think that he is really involved in the situation in Belarus, and he promised us to do anything to help with negotiations with just for this political crisis in our country. And he told that time is very crucial because a lot of people are suffering because of this regime. Too many people are in jails, and he will do everything just to help to release all the political prisoners.
And earlier on, we had seen her, saying that she was ready to take on the leadership amongst all the trouble that's been happening there. Well, of course, the other conflict that's still happening and still going on is in the Azerbaijan and Armenian enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh. So let's take a very quick look at that report in today's upcoming news. A new and dangerous eruption of decades-old conflict has broken out between Azerbaijan and ethnic Armenian enclave. Amazing footage there. Well, right now, to finish off today, we will look at the global state of the pandemic. Of course, we're looking at the world news in this segment, but this is covering the world and the global state of the pandemic as our lead out story before we go to all our events that are taking place. As I said before, that lots of events would be taking place virtually. As we know, this weekend we will be at the BMEC Centre, and next weekend we will have a live coverage from Paddington as well. So stay tuned for all that information about many of the live events that we will be live casting from actual venues.
We're seeing on average more than 5,000 deaths a day, and we've just crossed that 1 million mark. 205,000 of them, so more than a fifth, more than 1 in 5 people that have died with COVID-19 on the official numbers have been in the United States.
In number of confirmed cases, India is on number 2, and on number of deaths, India is on number 3.
America, Brazil, Mexico, countries across South America. That is, more than half of the world's deaths, but lots and lots of other hotspots as well, obviously. This number hasn't quite updated yet, but this is the daily chart showing you just how many people, and the fact that really it has not eased. 5,000 on average every day still, and has been really the case for several
986,089 global deaths.
Parts of the world find their curves easing and the numbers of people dying dropping. All that's really happening is hotspots are moving around the world. So 1 million today. What are we, about 9 months, 10 months into this pandemic, and some staggeringly large numbers. It's worth remembering, of course, that million almost certainly an underestimate of the true number of people living.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to all our upcoming functions and events. And don't forget that a lot of these events would be taking place virtually, and there would be live cast as well. So, this weekend we'll be live casting from BMEC for Asu Babu Memorial Tabla Concert, and next weekend there's a fusion musical concert which we will be telecasting. So, stay tuned and log on to our website and of course our Facebook page for notifications about those events. They are all in the final stages of being planned, and if the links are available prior to the event, we will make those links available as we come close. So, the way things are happening these days, most of the things will be taking place virtually. So, events will happen live, but they will be telecast or live cast via Facebook and YouTube, so that people who are not there can also view those events. And we are gearing up and have put in all infrastructure in place to be able to do that. So if you have any function, an event that you'd like to partner with Brisbane Indian Times and Australian Indian Radio, please do contact us as media partners and sponsors via Chentex Multimedia. We would gladly do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all I have time for today. And thank you so much for joining in. It's always so good to see you. It's people like you who join in, and that's wonderful to see. And of course, I'd like to thank all the groups that allow us to share our post in their groups. Thank you so much for all the admins, who do allow us with that. It is really, really appreciated. And as I've mentioned, if you have any function or event that you'd like to partner with us, we'd gladly do that. So, the onus is on you. If you really like to partner with us, please do contact us and we will gladly do that. So until tomorrow, be good, but most importantly, stay safe.